Good afternoon. Last time we have started with our topic P block elements, wherein we have seen that the group number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, all these are included under P block elements as we know. But our study is restricted only to group number 13, 14, and 15 group elements, that is from boron, carbon, and nitrogen families. So these are the three important series of elements that we are going to study. So last time we have started with the electronic configuration and all the related characteristic features of all these elements. I would like to show you once again because the picture was rather not visible that much. So look at this screen sharing so that you will come to know. Now, in this case, here I have shown group number 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. All these are commonly known as a P block elements. We have seen the general electronic configuration of all these groups, which I would like to again recall. This is group number 13, NS2, NP1, total number of valence electrons are 3. This is group number 14, total number of valence electrons are 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Here, these are the noble class of zero group elements where they have completely filled electron subshell, that is total number of electrons are 8, that is 6 plus 2. Now here our study is restricted only to 13, 14, and 15 group elements, that is the boron family, the carbon, boron, nitrogen, and boron family, and another family that I would like to mention here again, that after boron there is a carbon family, then the nitrogen family. So these families, the characteristic features that we already studied, but I would like to give you certain glimpses. We have seen certain characteristic features. So for example, this is group 13 elements, which include the elements from boron, aluminum, gallium, indium, and thallium, having this is a corresponding electronic configurations of all these elements, wherein if you look at very carefully, I am going to show one more slide. Here 3 electrons are there. So these are the valence electrons which are present belonging to third A group of the periodic table. So group valence is activated here. Now in this case, now here, in this case, boron, aluminum, gallium, indium, and thallium, here with regard to the atomic radius, which increases from boron to thallium, because as we know, you might have studied at your 11th standard, that as we go down in group, the atomic number increases and the addition of electron takes place to the new shell of electrons, and because of this, the size increases, because of shielding effect it decreases. Now, with respect to the ionization potential or ionization enthalpy, here I have given from boron to thallium, the ionization energy that goes on gradually decreasing, because the reason for this is that IP values goes on decreasing down the group as size increases. So if the size increases, nuclear force of attraction over the outermost electron decreases, so one can remove the electron very easily. So electronegativity decreases. Down the group, the electronegativity first decreases from boron to aluminum. So from boron to aluminum, the electronegativity value decreases, after which there is a gradual again increase. The physical properties that we have already mentioned, that density increases from boron to thallium. This is because increase in size of the atom, and this is indirectly to the number of atomic number increased. Then the metallic character also increases if we go down the group. The oxidation states, last time I have also explained that the group valency is always attributed to every element. If an element that is present in a particular group, for example, third A group, then the group valency is 3. If the element that belongs to fourth A group, then the group valency is 4, and like that, the group valency is attributed. So here, this slide I have shown. Last time it was not that much clearly visible, but for the purpose of your study, I have made it visible through PowerPoint presentation. Here, these are all group 13 elements from boron to thallium. Here I have shown the common electronic configuration where 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 electrons are there. So here 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, that means this is a group valency. Third A group, the group valence is 3. Fourth A group, the group valence is 4. Fifth A, 5. Sixth A, 6, 4 plus 2. And seventh A, that is a 7. So here, these are the electronic configuration of all these elements down the group. So our studies from 13, 14 and 15, that is for boron group, carbon group and the nitrogen group. Now, last time I have also explained this atomic weights and the electronic configuration. So here it is misprinted. It is the atomic number 5, 13, 31, 49 and 81 from boron to thallium. Here this is the electronic configuration and how the atomic radii that goes on increasing just here from boron to thallium, because if we travel down any group, the size increases. The ionic radii for trivalent, that means boron in +3 oxidation state, 20, 50 picometer, 62, 80 and 95. That means the ionic radii also those goes on increasing. Oxidation state, just now I have mentioned the common oxidation state is +3. The ionization energy or ionization potential decreases for boron, which is being small in size. Ionization potential is highest, and for thallium it is very lowest because big in size. And the electronegativity values after boron up to aluminum it is decreases, and after which there is again steady decrease. Now this is for group 14 elements, that is a carbon family. Here from carbon to lead, that is from atom number 6, 14, 32, 50 and 82, that is silicon, germanium, indium and lead. These are the electronic configurations of all these elements, where if you see carefully, 2 plus 2, 4, again 2 plus 2, 4, 4, 4 and 4. So the group valencies, the oxidation state, that is the common oxidation state is +4. For this reason, I have shown here the common oxidation state +4, but there are some, for some reasons, some element they do display +2 oxidation states. Again, the atomic radii, again that goes on increasing because this, as atomic number increases, size also increases because addition of electron takes place to the new shell of electrons. Again, this property is also common. Ionization potential, that value goes on decreasing because as the size increases, very less amount of energy is required to remove an electron from such size atom. Now electronegativity values, again those goes on decreasing as we go from carbon to lead. Now the nitrogen family, that is a 15th group elements, that is a nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony and bismuth, having atom number 7, 15, 33, 51 and 83. Here just now I have mentioned that all these elements belong to 5th A group of the periodic table, so the group valency is attributed. So here if you see carefully, +5, +5, +5, +5 and +5. So all these elements they do display +5 as a group valency. Here I have shown 3 plus 2, 5, 3 plus 2, 5, again 5, this is 5 and this is 5. So all these 5 electrons are made available for bond formation. So the common oxidation state is +5 on account of the group valency. Again, the atomic radii, see here, atomic radii for nitrogen is low, first member, but as the atomic number increases, atomic radii also goes on increasing. This is again on account of the addition of electron to the new shell of electrons. The ionic radii, those also goes on increasing, and for bismuth, there is no much more increase. I have mentioned this oxidation state, that is a common oxidation state is +5. Again, the ionization energy, that is a IP value for nitrogen, which is small in size, first member of this series. So having highest ionization potential value because it is small in size. But as we move down the group, that is to phosphorus, then to arsenic, then to antimony and to bismuth, these values also goes on decreasing, because when the size increases, IP value goes on decreasing. That means the amount of energy required to remove the electron from the atom, that is very, very less. And here the electronegativity values which are mentioned, that is nitrogen is most electronegative, and if we go down the group, for bismuth it is only 1.7. Now we are going to start with the compounds of boron, but before this, first of all, we shall have the clear-cut idea of how the boron compounds are formed. Now, as we know, boron having atomic number 5, it can form number of compounds, but the compound that is very important from the examination point of view is the diboron. Let us study this compounds of boron, that is a diboron, very carefully. If you are having the notebook, I also request that you should have your notebook and you have to draw the diagram side by side. See here. Now we are going to start with the compounds of boron. Just see here. Now the compounds, you can write in your notebook that the compounds of boron having atom number 5. The compound that we are going to study, which is very important from the examination point of view, is a diboron, because so many times the question has been asked the structure of diboron, that is having the composition as P2S6. So how can we arrive at the structure? But before the structure, first of all, we should see the preparation of this diboron. How diboron is prepared on laboratory scale. It can be prepared by heating boron trifluoride with lithium aluminum hydride. It gives our required product as B2H6, that is the diboron with lithium fluoride plus aluminum fluoride. So this is how one can synthesize this required product as a diboron. On large scale in industry, diboron can be prepared by using this boron trifluoride with sodium hydride, that is NaH. Here it gives B2H6 plus 6 sodium. So this particular product which is formed when a large scale boron diboron is required. Now, what about the structure for this diboron? Now, to arrive at the structure for this diboron, you have to draw this diagram side by side. Then and then you will be able, because the bonding and structure is rather difficult to understand, but I will make the content rather more understandable. So 2 boron atoms are there. So first of all, write down 2 boron atoms like this. We have to show 6 hydrogen atoms. This is the first hydrogen, the second hydrogen, then the third hydrogen, fourth hydrogen, then the fifth hydrogen and the sixth hydrogen. So this is nothing but B2H6, six hydrogen atoms are there. Now, if we look at the bond characteristics, then this boron to boron distance is 266 picometers. So this large distance indicates that there is no direct linking between two boron atoms. So here there is no bond between two boron atoms. You have to listen very carefully because this structure is very, very difficult to understand. So I am repeating once again that the large distance of 266 picometers, that indicates there is no direct linking between two boron atoms. So no bonding is there, but the two boron atoms, they do so through hydrogen bridges. So these hydrogen atoms are known as the bridge hydrogen atoms. So these are known as a bridge hydrogen atoms, which are present in between two boron atoms, and this and these two hydrogen atoms, which are present on the extreme sides and hence are known as a terminal hydrogen atoms or terminal bonds. Now, the hydrogen boron hydrogen, that is the terminal bond angle between hydrogen boron hydrogen, it is found to be 120 degrees, while the inner hydrogen boron hydrogen, this bond is found to be only 97 degrees. So hydrogen boron hydrogen, this is the inner bond, that is the bridge bond angle, is 97, while hydrogen boron hydrogen, that is the terminal bond angle, that is a 120 degrees. Now this bond length, for example, this bond length is found to be 133 picometers. That is a bridge bond length. These are known as a bridge bonds. So bridge bond length is found to be 133 picometers, while the terminal bond angle, terminal bond length, that is this 119 picometers. So 119 picometers. So we can find that there is a difference of bond lengths. That is the terminal bond length is very less as compared to bridge bond lengths. This also indicates that there is no direct linking between two boron atoms. In addition to this, the boron hydrogen boron, this bond angle is 110 degrees, but the hydrogen boron hydrogen bond angle is only 97 degrees. So this is all about the bond characteristics of this diboron. Now this structure can be explained in more details because the structure appears to be very simple, but this species is an electron deficient species. This species is an electron deficient species. That means there are not enough bonding electrons are available. There are not enough bonding electrons are available to join all the atoms together in the molecule, and hence it is an electron deficient molecule. Now, how to explain the electron deficient molecule or the bonding between these? Now you have to draw this diagram also. As we know, boron having atom number 5, its electron configuration is 1s2, 2s2 and 2p3. So there are 5 valence shell electrons which are contributed during the bond formation. Now here I will draw similar structure of electrons of these two boron atoms and hydrogen atoms. How can we draw? See here. Here I will show only 2s and 2p electrons. Sorry, this is only 2p1. I would like to correct here. 3 valence shell electrons are there because this is a third A group element. So 1s2, 2s2 and 2p1. So total number of electrons are 5. So 3 valence shell electrons are there. So the box diagram representation according to valence bond theory can be shown as like this. This is 2s2 and this is a 2p. Here one of this electron is unpaired and it is promoted here. So The excited state electronic configuration of boron can be shown as like this. So here, one of this electron is excited here. Now, as this is a 2s orbital and these are the 3p orbital, they undergo sp3 hybridization. So here, 4 hybrid orbitals are there, but only with 3 electrons. This is the peculiarity of this structure, that in case of diboron, each boron undergoes sp3 hybridization. 4 hybrid orbitals are there, 1, 2, 3, and 4, but only with 3 electrons. Hence, it is a electron deficient. So, how can we show this? Just see here. This is again 2s. This is a 2p of first boron atom, which is shown here. For this boron atom, I would like to show you again. This is as like this, 2s and 2p. This is sp3 hybrid orbitals of these 2 boron atoms. Now, one hydrogen is there. This hydrogen having the electronic confusion as 1s1, and again one more hydrogen is there. This hydrogen. So one more hydrogen, it contributes its 1s electron. Again, there are 4 terminal hydrogen atoms are there. So these are the 4 terminal hydrogen atoms. They also contribute their 1s electrons like this. And here for this boron, again 1s electrons. For this hydrogen, this is a 1s electron. So this is the electron structure for this diboron. Now, first of all, we shall see how these 2 plus 2, 4 terminal bonds are produced by boron. So here, this 2s orbital of boron and 1s orbital of hydrogen, they share a common pair of electron and this bond is formed. Then the 2px orbital of boron and 1s orbital of hydrogen, they can form this bond that is known as a terminal bond. So these 2 bonds have been produced. Now come to this boron atom. The first bond between this boron and hydrogen is formed on account of overlap of 2s orbital of this boron, and second bond that is formed by the overlap of 2px orbital of boron and 1s orbital of hydrogen. So these 2 bonds have been produced. So we have seen the 4 terminal bonds, how they are produced. Now here there are 1, 2, 3, and 4 bonds are to be produced by these boron atoms. So to produce this bond, 2 electrons are required. To produce this bond, 2 electrons are required. Again 2 electrons and 2 electrons. So total number of electrons those are required are 8. Consider this bond between boron and hydrogen. Here, this electron of boron is not used up, and this electron, that is 1s electron of hydrogen. So they overlap and they can form this bond. But what about this bond? Because here, now consider this boron atom also. Here, for this boron, this electron is left and 1s orbital of this hydrogen. So this bond is formed. So no electrons are available for the formation of this bond, and no electrons are available because all the electrons are used up in the forming these 2 bonds and these 4 bonds. Now here there are 2 electrons. They have a job to join boron, hydrogen, and this boron. Similarly, here 2 electrons are there, 1 electron from hydrogen, 1 electron from boron, and they have a responsibility to again join boron, this hydrogen, and boron. So 3 centers are there, and these 3 atoms, boron, hydrogen, boron, and boron, hydrogen, boron, these 3 atoms are to be joined by 2 electrons. So whatever electron density of these 2 electrons is there, that is spread equally over the 3 atoms like this. So this is known as a delocalization of electron density. So these two electrons, they join boron, hydrogen, and borons. That means three centers are there. Which are those? Boron, hydrogen, and boron. That is this boron, hydrogen, and boron. So this electron density that spreads equally, and this electron density takes the shape of a banana, and hence banana bonds are observed. So in diborane, you should remember three center, two electron bond or two E3C bonds are present in diborane. Similarly, these two electrons, that is one electron from boron and one electron from hydrogen. This electron density again spreads over these three atoms like this, and that electron density takes the shape of a banana. So we can find that in between two boron atoms, the banana bonding like this. Here hydrogen atoms are there, and here again hydrogen atoms are there. So these hydrogen atoms are in different environment. That means those are known as a bridge hydrogen atoms, where a common pair of electron, there is a scarcity of electrons to join all the atoms together in the molecule, and hence that electron density spreads over these three atoms, boron, hydrogen, and boron equally. This equal spreading of electron density takes the shape of a banana, and hence all these bonds are known as a banana bonds. So this bond is a three center two electron bond. So you must remember this particular word, that is a three center two electron bond. So whenever banana bonds are observed in any compound, it is definitely a electron deficient. So for this reason, in the beginning I have told you that this is the molecule where we can find that there are not enough bonding electrons are available, hence this is a electron deficient. So less than 1 minute has left, so we shall continue by clicking the same link. So